If you play fantasy football, you are in the right place. I am your host, three-time NFL best ball champion and owner of beatbestball.com. Going live today to rip some best ball streams and first talk through some preseason usage and what we do know, what we don't know, and what we might know. So, we've had training camp, we've had spring practices, and we have beat reporters. Someone like myself is reading about beat reporters. Uh, I read The Athletic. I follow beat reporters on Twitter. I occasionally watch YouTube shows, hour-long streams of YouTube shows of people who go to practices. To put it simply, I am trying to find information that matters to profit playing best ball, right? And sometimes we're successful, right? Sometimes we're successful, such as last year, I drafted a lot of Kyren Williams. Part of the reason I was confident to do that is from reading the reports, I could tell Kyren was involved in practice with Matthew Stafford. Secondly, I had context of I knew Cam Akers and Sean McVay didn't always get along. Cam Akers had an injury history. They seemed that there was, they would fight on the sidelines. Adam Schefter said Kyren was going to have a breakout year before he got hurt his rookie year on a kickoff. So that's a little bit of info we filed away. I was reading about Kyren catching balls in practice. So to me, I was envisioning at worst, I'm getting a James White type, which when you're an 18th round selection has a lot of value, right? To put it simply, I knew I was drafting a player who was not going to be a zero, right? A zero stinks. You draft a player who does not contribute. I drafted some Rashad Penny last year. Actually, a lot of Rashad Penny until this time of year. This time of year, you have to be humble in your process. It didn't seem like it was coming together for Rashad Penny, so I stopped drafting him. Kyren also was rested in the preseason. Discerning usage can be difficult, especially when starting quarterbacks are not played. I think I would argue players who don't play for reasons not related to injury is almost the biggest indicator we have, right? So on that front, I would say a guy who I was pretty into this year was Khalif Raymond. I was drafting I started the year and I didn't want him. Khalif Raymond, wide receiver 3 on the Lions, if you're not a fantasy football virgin like myself. So Khalif Raymond, small slot guy. Josh Reynolds leaves for Denver. ESPN Analytics loved this guy, rated really well. And so I eventually, after not drafting him the first month or so, I was like, you know what? This guy's a great target. He's not a zero. He has contingent upside. If Amon-Ra St. Brown gets hurt, Khalif Raymond is just going to fill in that role. He won't be as good, right? But he'll be getting that type of usage, or close to it. He won't get full Amon-Ra workload. So, right, so I was in. There was a couple weeks there where I was drafting him almost every time. And then I read some reports about Anton Green, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I read about some other Lions wide receivers who are being reported by beat reporters as possibly being the wide receiver 3. Now, if we look at this from the Lions perspective, which I think not enough people think about it like this, not enough people think about what's optimal for the team. Do you need to see what Khalif Raymond can offer you in his 4th or 5th year in the NFL? Or do you think the Lions know what he offers? I think the Lions, a sharp organization, knows what Khalif Raymond can and can't do, right? They have no disillusions about ooh, maybe we have Jamar Chase cooking on our hands here. No, right? They know what he can do. They know what he can't do. He's not a big guy, right? He's not a blocking wide receiver, which when you have a team like the Lions and most teams in the NFL value blocking wide receivers, right? This is why Gabe Davis would play more than Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. He could block, right? So uh the Lions were trying out other wide receivers, in my opinion, to see who could function as the blocking wide receiver. And maybe someone had more upside than Khalif Raymond. Well, whatever. Green got waived by the team. Donovan Peoples Jones and Fountain, I think his name is, are competing for wide receiver 4. But what's notable to me is Khalif Raymond has been rested in the preseason. So that is a strong indicator. Khalif Raymond rested in the preseason. Lions probably value this guy, right? Is Khalif Raymond going to be a league winner? Probably not. However, there are opportunities for that to occur, such as Sam Laporta or Amon-Ra getting hurt. And in best ball, where we really just want to get some, some spike weeks at the right time, he seems like a great bet for that. Am I going to take him every single time? No, but I will re-raise him in my rankings now that, my priors of him being a good wide receiver 3 and whatever that weird week of Lions reporting about another guy seeming like a nothing, like, okay, we're back in Khalif Raymond. As a non-zero, right? Which has its own value. Now let's talk about a team like the Chargers. The Chargers are not playing Justin Herbert. So that right there throws a huge wrench in our evaluation of the preseason. And the Chargers, we got a lot of questions about. Number one, our question is, what's up with the running backs? They drafted Kamani Vidal in the 6th round. For a couple months there, people were like, great, let's have him have an ADP of 150. And then some Chargers beats came out with the opinion of he might not even make the team. This guy's not making the team. Okay, so he free falls, which I think he should. Plays in the preseason this weekend. Looks good. Looks good on his touches. Probably mostly O-line, but he looks good. And J.K. Dobbins, of course, not a bill of health. Gus Edwards kind of is what he is. So now we're intrigued again on Kamani. The other thing we have questions about is what's up with their wide receiver rotation after Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer. Personally, I want to find a way to bet against Quentin Johnston. Right? Quentin Johnston was terrible his rookie year. And is it possible he can turn it around? Yes, it's possible, right? Like people like to cite Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is like the hope for guys who bust their first year and turn into something. But I mean, I don't know how to break this. Quentin Johnston is probably not Devontae Adams, So after Palmer, Joshua Palmer, and Ladd McConkey, you have Quentin Johnston, you have DJ Chark, you have Brendan Rice. Brendan Rice was a 7th round rookie. DJ Chark, career journeyman, 500 yards last year, 5 touchdowns. I'm pretty intrigued in Chark in the idea that maybe he can be closer to 800 yards as Justin Herbert's deep threat. And instead of 5 touchdowns, he has 7. If you give me 800 yards and 7 touchdowns out of a 17th round pick, that's a pretty great value there, right? Not a 0, pretty good season, honestly, right? And he makes stacking Justin Herbert, a quarterback I want anyways, a good pick. So, anyways, we get to the preseason game. Justin Herbert's not playing, right? He has plantar fasciitis. They're saving him for the regular season. So the question becomes, can we even learn anything from this rotation? Brendan Rice started the game. Again, 7th round rookie. Chargers beat reporter Daniel Popper gave the opinion that Rice is in a battle with Samini Fehoko to make the team as the wide receiver 6. Other people gave the opinion that Brendan Rice should be moving up rankings because he started with the team. And DJ Chark played into the third quarter of the preseason game. So, okay, I was drafting Chark. I've not really been drafting Quentin Johnston. Usage seemed like Rice played and then got rested. So, are the Chargers doing this because Justin Herbert's not in the game? You know, are they doing this just because they need to, like, is DJ Chark playing late in the game just because they need someone on the field and they don't have enough bodies for that? I don't know, right? That's one I want to like dig into. But I hope this could just be an example of we're trying to read the tea leaves here, right? Like, I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm trying my best. I listen to other opinions of people. Nathan Yankee on Twitter is a great follow. He is a guy who watches all the preseason games and gives his opinions. I don't always agree with Nathan. And Nathan, more importantly, is writing his article with the mindset of a managed league player, right? Not a best ball player. So, on the how I'm going to handle the Chargers news is I'm going to raise Kamani Vidal in my ranks. I'll probably lower J.K. Dobbins a little bit, although I'm already lower on J.K. Dobbins, so probably won't move him. But I'm gonna raise Kamani so he's draftable again. I do think it was correct to stop drafting him, right? Like, I'm not going to training camp. I don't actually get to see Kamani Vidal, and I'm reading no opinions of him on the internet, right? So when the only opinion I have is a beat reporter who I don't know every beat reporter's, track record. But when the only opinion I have is Kamani Vidal maybe won't make the team, I'm going to adjust to that. Brendan Rice, I'm going to raise so that he's draftable, right? He is in the mix to me. He's like the same as like a Parker Washington or for the Jaguars, or a worse Jordan Whittington for the Rams. These are possibly wide receiver 4s with intrigue. I still think that Chark and Johnston are ahead of Rice. However, understand the bet you're making, right? The bet you're making with Chark is to land a guy who can give you a couple spikes, right? That's not the same bet you're making with Rice. The bet you're making with Rice is this guy could be a 0, but what if he is closer to a Puka Nacua, right? He's a mystery box in that sense. Now, I think it's pretty unlikely. Again, 7th round rookie. Some people are saying it's debatable if he makes the team. We haven't heard a bunch. He is working with the starters some. Lad McConkey was drafted in the first or in the top of the 2nd round. So he's probably a favorite. Josh Palmer seems ahead of him, right? But will I mix Rice in on some Herbert teams? Yes. And that's how I prefer to play that. Am I going to draft Rice on every single team now? No. No, I'm not going to play it that way. But, there's a lot of preseason things like that you have to work through, right? So Josh Allen didn't play with the starters. What can we learn from the Mitch Trubisky order? Some things we can, some things we can't. Anyways, we're going to start on Drafters this morning. Drafters is a total point site. It is weeks 1 through 17. This is my 141st Drafters team. I kind of wanted to save 10 teams for the until after the third preseason game, once we have more depth chart clarity. But whatever, we're gonna do a stream team here, so got to get it running here. We'll also do a giveaway, giving away a free ticket. So Drafters is total points weeks 1 through 17. Whoever scores the most points win. It is it's 10,000 entrants away from being 50% filled. So probably is going to overlay. If you're not up and running on Drafters, you can use promo code Cheslium for a $100 deposit match. And we need a couple more to get this bad boy filled. Is Drafters going to overlay again? Probably yes. Whittington is playing the preseason and Tutu Atwell is not. Biggest tell who the fourth is. Yeah, I think that is one way to view that situation. In my opinion, I know what Tutu Atwell is. Tutu Atwell is a good deep threat. He can give you some spikes. Tutu Atwell will never be a league winner, right? Can he spike at the right time? Yes. Jordan Whittington playing with the preseason doesn't mean that Tutu is 100% ahead of him to me. Is he possibly? Yes, of course he is possibly. Is it also possible that Sean McVay just wants to see the rookie play more in the preseason and that if something happens to Puka or Cooper Kupp, Jordan Whittington profiles as more of the direct replacement to one of those very valuable roles in the offense? Yes, that seems likely to me, right? Like, I don't see Tutu Atwell becoming a 10 target a game guy if Puka turns his ankle. Jordan Whittington, maybe, right? Maybe. So, is Miles Sanders even draftable around 20? Yeah, he's fine to mix in. Is Drafters going to overlay? Most likely, yes. We need 2 more for this draft, by the way. Thoughts on Malik Neighbors? Yeah, I don't need, like, that type of situation doesn't require a huge breakdown to me. Malik Neighbors is elite at football, period. Now, as things get cheaper in drafts, I think it's better to make talent-based bets, even if we're worried about the offense. So, do I think Neighbors is so mispriced that I want like 30% Malik Neighbors? No. Do I think Malik Neighbors is really good, going to see a lot of volume, and he's going to have some huge weeks? Yes. Justin Jefferson in the first round scares me a little bit. I am scared of the situation of Justin Jefferson to be doing that at a high clip, right? Malik Neighbors in the third round, that's cheap enough where I'll spin the wheel and find out. He's similar to many wide receivers going that range. Let's do our giveaway now. Again, if you sign up with beatbestball.com, that's $99 for the year. We'll cover you for all your best ball needs. You'll also get a free ticket into Drafters. Gonna send over any recent signups today or tomorrow. I updated my rankings on Friday. I updated my rankings 3 times last week. Gonna update the rankings again today because I want to reflect the preseason games and info I think is like not, for example, Jahan Dotson, I moved really down the rankings when people were giving the opinion that he won't make the team. And now it seems like Jahan Dotson is probably just the 3 at worst. So I think I'll move him up a little bit. He's still not a guy I love though. Pulled the 111 here. Says my 142nd team. I didn't update the drafters rankings yet simply because it is the least popular site. So this doesn't have my Friday updates, but I will be updating this and redraft and DraftKings and Underdog soon. Doing a main event draft tonight with Ron and Jacob. Probably cross stream that. So that will be later tonight, something around 9 p.m. or so. Have I auto drafted any drafters teams? No full teams. I've auto drafted like the first 7 rounds or so. I do think you can auto draft on drafters though. If you have rankings and positional limits though. Is drafters PPR? Drafters is. Let's get let me pull up my link if anyone is looking to sign up. Total points, weeks 1 through 17. It's probably going to overlay, meaning it does not fill. which just means you're competing with less people for for a guaranteed prize pool. Thoughts on Shakir? I like Shakir. I recently moved Shakir one spot ahead of Curtis Samuel. Still like Curtis Samuel, but I just get pretty good vibes that Shakir's going to have some big games. Is Shakir going to be a 100% snap rate player? No, he's not. Right? So he's a little bit worse than managed, where the Bills could play a lot of formations with Kincaid and Knox on the field, Matt Collins on the field, and then Keon Coleman on the field. So that doesn't leave playing time for Shakir and Samuel if they're playing these heavy formations. Let's do a free giveaway here. If you have a Drafters account, comment your name, and I'm going to highlight the most recent comment like this. Comment your name. The winner will be chosen in 15 seconds. Go now. Just comment your name. If you don't have a Drafters account, don't comment. You're not getting a ticket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is you, D. Salvoni. You are our winner. Congratulations, D. Salvoni. Guys, when I do these giveaways, copy and paste your name so that, don't be manually typing it. You're never going to beat the people who just copy and then paste, paste, paste. D. Salvoni won. Let's get our picks here, and then I'll send that name over. Congratulations, D. Salvoni. Let's make our pick in a second here. D. Salvoni won the ticket. Okay, whoever commented "cum fart bubble," A, I hope that's your username. B, seek God. Sure, Nico. Congratulations, D. Salvoni. You've won the ticket. I send it to them. They deposit the ticket. We went Garrett Wilson and Nico Collins. I think that's a fun pairing where, like, Garrett Wilson, what we're betting on is we're betting on a really high target share, where I think the upside hope for him is that he is CeeDee Lamb, right? The hope is that he's this guy who's getting like 10, 12, 15 targets a game, and no one else on the offense deserves a high target share. This is what CeeDee Lamb was. With Nico, the bet is that Nico will be a full-time player, and he won't have the consistent target numbers that a Garrett Wilson has because he's competing with Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell for targets, but he's going to have some huge games, right? So if Garrett Wilson has a 12 target, 100-yard game and a touchdown, Nico can have a 6 target, 6 catch, 150 yards, right? Because he gets targeted down the field and he's really good. What if Diggs outperforms Nico? Then he outperforms him and this team won't win. Like, I really don't know what other kind of comment you want from that. You can ask that for every single player in the player pool, right? What if Mike Williams outperforms CeeDee Lamb? Okay. Then he outperforms him, right? So if what you're saying is you don't want to target good offenses because there's other pass catchers, I would caution you to look at last year's 49ers. How did that work out for the people who were like, how does it work with CMC and Kittle and Ayuk and Debo? The answer is they all do well. Kincaid chances of being tight end 1? I think Kincaid has, like, I did a main event draft earlier in the year, $2,000 draft, and me and my co-manager took Kincaid as tight end 1. A lot of here's the truth about fantasy football. A lot of people need to see it first before they believe it. So if Kincaid comes out and has a 10 to 12 target game, a lot of people are going to be like either shit or like hell yeah, right? And if Kelsey comes out and has like a 5 target game, people are either going to be like shit or like yeah, obviously, right? Um so I think yeah, I mean year 2 player, I think people would be talking about Kincaid a lot more if he wasn't overshadowed by Sam Laporta. I think he has a decent shot at tight end 1. Personally, I think everyone is flipping coins, meaning they all have equal probability. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Kincaid, Andrews, right? Like this cohort of players, Kelsey, um, they all have good shots at being tight end 1. Shut up, Tolan. What if Dak gets hurt and he has 0 lands? Tolan went to college with me, grew up in New Hampshire with me. We split a main event. Got 5th in drafters last year. He's drafted next to me. 5'11", 179. What's going on? Star Kindler here getting weird, taking Kyron Williams in the 2nd round. He's available a lot in the 3rd round here. However, just creating a unique combination by doing this, right? Plenty of people have Bijan, Nico, Kyron. Not many people have Bijan, Kyron, Josh. Yeah, let's take Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers kind of an end of a tier there for me. Just going to be the wide receiver 1 on the Ravens. I prefer him to Mark Andrews. I think he will have some big games, which in a total points format, we want that. We want the big games. Let's get a running back. God, dare. I think I have like 1 Derrick Henry team. Let's go ETN. Let's make the tiebreak of ETN being in the same division as Nico. I view Pacheco and ETN as similar valued players. You know, either being a league winner wouldn't surprise me. They both catch passes. They're both clearly the RB1 on their team. They both play for good teams. So, Pacheco, people are getting really excited about. Not as much in this draft. But yeah, I don't really view Pacheco's range of outcomes that different from ETN, Ken Walker, James White, James Cook, Rashad White, Joe Mixon, like, you know, Josh Jacobs. I think they're all pretty similar tier of running back. If Rashee Rice never got in trouble, where would he go? I mean, we don't even need to theoretically ask that question because we have actual drafts that occurred before he got hurt or before he got before he was a dumbass and drunk driving or whatever the hell he was doing. However, the Chiefs hadn't drafted Worthy. What I can tell you is Rice went anywhere from the early 2nd to more commonly, was he a 2-3 turn player? What would have happened if Rice didn't have suspension concerns and the Chiefs added Hollywood and they drafted Worthy, which maybe they would not have drafted Worthy without the suspension concerns? I think Rice would be going around the same tier of player as DJ Moore, DK Metcalf. You know, I think he would go ahead of Michael Pittman. So I think Rice would go in the 3rd round. And now the market's just drafting him there. I personally, I understand the excitement about Rice. I see the league winner potential there too. Do I want to be taking a lot of Rice in the 3rd round when I personally have teams where I was taking Rice in the 7th round? I know there are times where you could get Rice in the 8th round. I know there are times where you get Rice in the 9th round. No, I don't want to be doing that for a total points format. I think it's easier for something like Best Ball Mania or the DraftKings contest because those are playoff pod formats, not total points. One thing you can do here on Drafters has some cool functionality, but you can type in the word rice and it will show me my Rasheed Rice team. So let's try to find one. Like, I don't have a lot of rice, to be clear, but let's try to find one where he went later, which maybe this is a good board for it. You can view your old drafts. You can also view the drafts of the winners. Yeah, okay. So this is one where I took Rice in round 7, right? Now, is this team guaranteed to be good? No, maybe I'm getting killed at running back, right? My tight end room also seems to suck on it with TJ Hawkinson, a player I barely draft. But right, you just saw Rice go in the 3rd round. There's a lot of draft volume that occurred with Rice going in the 7th round. The easiest way to combat that, if you do take Rice now, is to simply take players that were not drafted earlier in the offseason, or you take players whose ADP has fallen, right? So you can take a Hollywood Brown in the 7th round now that he's fallen. You can take a DeAndre Hopkins in the 9th round now that he's fallen. You can force unique combos. And what all this does is it gives you're fighting the fact that you're paying a bad price on Rice compared to others. Let's do, White and Ken Walker, 2 guys I value pretty similar. Let's do Walker. People are getting excited about Walker. Um, and so I want to get him before he climbs up boards. Rachaad White was an inefficient runner. I'm not here to debate that. I still think he can dominate touches. Is it possible Bucky Irving usurps him? Yeah, it's possible. But I think people are kind of just trying to cherry pick a good pass catcher in White. And then Jaden Reed and Rome Odunze, 2 guys I value very similar. Let's do Rome today. Rome Odunze is another example of something that most people need to see before they believe. And you know, Rome and Worthy, 2 guys who got a lot of preseason hype after those games. I wrote about Rome in particular in this article I wrote last week about the market being illogical and how Rome is just mispriced. And then we come out and Keenan Allen looks slow and bad in the preseason. And so he's going to climb in price. Worthy caught a preseason touchdown. So he's going to climb in price, right? Like, these are the type of things impacting decisions. No, Jamar Chase trying to get paid does not worry me. What do you think of the general drop in Pickens ADP on all sites? I have never liked George Pickens as the player. I've never liked George Pickens' price. George Pickens and the reason is because his team is going to suck at throwing the ball. He doesn't separate. He doesn't get open. He wins on jump balls, right? Is he eligible to have big games because he can win down the field and he's really good at that? Yes, he can do that on occasion. Why is he falling? Are people becoming hip to the fact that that's George Pickens? No, that is not why he's falling. George Pickens is falling because people are spooked about a trade that's not going to happen with Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is not going to be traded to me. That was never logical. But now that is why George Pickens is falling. I have seen George Pickens. He went at the 4-5 turn here. I have seen him go in the 6th round in drafters as far as pick 72. Why don't people like Derrick Henry if he's minus 185 to score 10 rushing touchdowns? I personally just don't like to bet on old players who don't catch passes, who are going to punish me. For 17 weeks, they need to punish me. First off, he needs to be like the guy in this range. Can he have this 1,500 yard, 15 touchdown season? Sure, he can do it. Right? but it's something I'm okay fading. I faded Kelsey last year. Could he have had a great year? Yeah, he didn't. He was old, right? I faded Austin Eckler last year. Could he have punished me? Yeah, he's done it before. Did he do it? No, he's old, right? So is Derrick Henry going to punish me? Maybe. Maybe he will. In general, he's an archetype I'm okay fading. Let me let my cat in the office here. Come on in, Puma. My cat's going senile, so he just kind of screams and doesn't know where people are, but he's content here. His name's Puma. Do you think Tank Dell is worth an early fifth in FFPC main event? I think Tank Dell is like, I love Tank Dell. I think he's the type of guy who will go cheaper on the FFPC. But yes, I want to be drafting him. I think he's really good at football. Okay. So I don't know. Hollywood's fine. Any of the running backs are fine. We're just going to take Jake Ferguson. Could Jake Ferguson disappoint? Yes. Could Jake Ferguson be 12 to 15 PPR points per game and be on many of the winning teams and drafters? Also, yes. You know, he ran bad on touchdowns last year, got a bunch of red zone targets, really open room after. Interesting that the Pat Mahomes drafter didn't even draft Hollywood. Jalen Warren is like maybe plays week one, maybe doesn't. Let's go Mostert here. I don't have Mostert enough of him. He usually goes at the 8-9 turn, ADP of 95 to 98. So by taking him at the 7-8 turn, I'm simply, rather than Mostert being paired with CeeDee Lamb, I have Mostert paired with Garrett Wilson and Nico Collins. So I'm getting unique that way. Mostert is typically not the type of guy I want to be betting on. Old player, had a insane season last year where he ran really, 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 really hot on touchdown conversions. I don't think, they drafted Jalen Wright. I like Achane. So I don't have a lot of Mostert. But do I want to mix in him? Yes. And also, Mostert's not quite the same as a Derrick Henry, who's also old. I mean, most obviously, he's cheaper. But more importantly, Derrick Henry probably has, I don't know, 1,500 more career touches than Mostert because Mostert's been injured and missed full seasons. Miami sat Jalen Wright, which I thought was, as someone who's drafted a lot of Jalen Wright, I was like, wow, wheels up. We're getting this guy smashing. However, Jalen Wright, I think got banged up in joint practice. So someone asked, is he going to play sooner than later? He got banged up in the joint practice. So I still think signs are bullish on Jalen Wright, but we don't we don't know based on him not playing because he didn't play because of injury. Why do you think Tank will go later on FFPC due to the boomerish clientele and viewing Tank as too small, injury prone, take running back instead? Yeah, it's all of what you said, plus tight ends go earlier on FFPC because it's tight end premium. But yeah, in general, like the boomer FFPC person, They don't wanna be taking this guy who is maybe not playing in 2 wide receiver sets. They don't wanna be betting on talent. They don't wanna be betting on the 175-pound wide receiver. They wanna be betting on a guy they know has been good for his whole career, and Stephon Diggs, right? If Kelsey does what he did last year as a 3-4 turn pick, he's a smash. Maybe. It really would depend on, Kelsey's production does not happen in a vacuum, right? He doesn't get to contribute fantasy points and no one else does. More importantly, it would depend on A, what do the tight ends in this range do? AKA if someone straight up outscores him, that's bad for him. Let's make some picks here. Okay, no need to take a quarterback with this first pick. Let's get I don't really have much Tajay Spears either. Let's get him as a fun fourth running back. You saw me scrolling to check this team. I was checking to see what picks he's made because I wanted to be taking Caleb Williams with this pick. We like Jordan Love too, but yeah, Caleb Williams as my QB1. We have Roma Dunze. Makes all the sense in the world. I tweeted the other day, like the standing up meme, and I said Caleb Williams will score similar to Patrick Mahomes, but goes, 5 rounds cheaper in drafts, and I stand by that. Now, I will also say that also qualifies for all the quarterbacks in this range, right? Burrow's going to score similar to Mahomes. Prescott will score similar to Mahomes. Love will score similar to Mahomes. Daniels and Purdy will probably, but they're a little bit more thin than these three. The big thing that Caleb does that I think not everyone is hip to is Caleb will run the football around the goal line. They gave Caleb Williams a power run, the type of runs that Josh Allen scores on, where he just peels out and the tackle pull, like the guard pulls and goes and blocks, and the quarterback walks in the end zone. They gave Caleb Williams usage like that. So if that is gonna happen, that's a smash. But yeah, based on the Kelsey thing, I mean, guys, there's an opportunity cost to any pick you make in fantasy football. So especially for a total points format, if I take ETN and ETN is running back 20 on the year and Derrick Henry is RB5 on the year, I've lost. Right? Right there. If I take Zay Flowers and Zay Flowers is wide receiver 42 on the year and Tank Dell, who goes at the same price, is wide receiver 15 on the year, I've lost right there. Right? So, I wouldn't make yourself go crazy thinking about all these things, but just realize when you take a pick, you can't just say, hey, Kelsey will have a good year, so I'll take him in every single draft. If you're doing that, you're inherently fading every single player who goes at his ADP. Any plus EV strats for telling your fiance how much money you've spent on best ball? Great question here, Damien. I think this is one where we as a community, guys, help Damien out here as a community. How do we break this to our significant others? I never really had to deal with this because, before I met my girlfriend, I had already won, or I met my girlfriend before I won BBM2, but I won BBM2 while we were dating and after I had drafted teams. So she didn't know me during the draft cycle part, only after. So I think, yeah. Gray said you wait until you win. That's the only way. Only tell her winnings. Yeah, I would just say you don't. Yeah, these are some good advice. I just don't bring it up. I mean, number one, don't go over your skis, guys. Don't go over your skis. Obviously, you can take more risk when you're younger, but you know, don't be going into debt. Don't be attaching your mental health to outcomes. Yeah, so unfortunately, I did the same thing I did in the other draft where, all right, fuck it. Give me Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill is just going to be like the second running back on the Saints. And so I'm getting that at tight end. What's unfortunate is this draft is mainly filled with people watching the stream rather than just random people on the site. So a lot of the wide receivers dried up by the time it was my pick, and that's why I took Taysom. I'm a little light at wide receiver here. Um, and like all these guys fall wildly. I could take Benson and be done at running back. Yeah, let's do that. I've been buying the dip on Benson. It's generally how I play it with players I like, which like I like Benson, explosive player. James Conner's 29. I have running back production for weeks, you know, ETN, Walker, Mostert, Spears. They're giving me running back production week 1. I don't need Benson to be producing until week 5, week 6, you know? This is a next level degen, if true. I hope you didn't do that. Jim says he's auto drafting but watching. Guys, if you appreciate these free streams, please do show your love. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 6K. Wait a second. Some of us are playing fantasy football and have a girlfriend? Some people have it all, James. Some people have it all. Again, if you haven't drafted total points, I know I've said this a lot, but you really should read this article I wrote about breaking down total points contests. Underdog has a total points contest too called the Marathon. You can just see what people in the past did. I broke down a lot here. You know, so here is Tolan who's drafting next to us. Here was his team he drafted last year. AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb, Ramondre, not a good pick, but paid off. DJ Moore, Lockett, Addison, all good picks. James Conner, Rashad White, good picks. Prescott, Mostert, good picks. Ferguson, good pick. Sam Laporta, good pick. Russell Wilson, not the best pick, but paid off. Damon Harris got hurt, not a good pick. Greg Dulcich got hurt, not a good pick. Michael Wilson gave you 1 week. Puka Nacua, smash pick. Deontay Hardy, probably got that from me. Not a good pick. Deuce Vaughn, not a good pick. Quez Watkins, not a good pick. Got 5th. We're going to need to find some wide receiver points here. I prefer building 2 QB more than 3. Tolan says, I had 5 zeros and came in second. Anything is possible. Especially painful for Tolan because we did a main event draft together. And in that main, I made the case for Kyron Williams. And then he drafted this team and took Deuce Vaughn. If he drafted Kyron, he probably wins. But, you know, it's not 1-to-1 like that. Obviously, he built this fully nutted team other than a couple guys. Jaden Daniels or Caleb? Mateo, it's so close, but and I flip-flop these two in my rankings a lot, but I'm going to move Caleb back ahead of Jaden. And I would be, you know, am I taking Caleb with, even though I love Caleb, am I going to be taking him without one of his wide receivers? No. If I have Terry McLaurin, that's a time to take Jaden Daniels. How do you let your girlfriend know you have over 500 drafted teams this season? You don't. You don't, friend. Don't lie to your girlfriends, but that's my opinion. Yeah, I mean, let's go. Leggett here. First round pick. I mean, like I'm going to draft first round picks in fantasy football. Tier break after him. Kirk Cousins, massive ADP value here. Perhaps why Tolan should have passed on Purdy because he has Mooney. But, I'd rather have Purdy than Cousins. But anyways, for us, we're going to take Aaron Rodgers to pair with Garrett Wilson. And I'm gonna stop at 2 QBs there probably. Like, is Aaron Rodgers drawing live to be a fantasy disappointment? Of course he is. Could he also just like sun run touchdowns and it makes sense to take him correlated with Garrett Wilson? Yeah, right. Like if Garrett Wilson is a bad fantasy pick, or put even more directly, if Garrett Wilson does not smash in fantasy this season, I am not winning drafters total points contest with like my Garrett Wilson team is not winning. So it makes sense to correlate your bets. Just one less thing you have to get right. Look, I've won 3 best ball contests, and my girlfriend doesn't like how much I do drafts, So I wish I could tell you winning some contests would help you, but it doesn't. It is her least favorite thing to do here, though. And most people in my life, when I say, sorry, guys, got to go to work, and then just whip out the phone and do a draft. Yeah, the relationship advice going down in these comments is just awful here. Let's catch people up. Let's see. Big Boy says, how do you let your girlfriend know you had over 500 teams? C Money says, you don't ever. Damien says, yeah, man, don't tell if she doesn't ask. Speed asked, offered some NFL opinion. I feel like Bryce will have a solid year. Big Boy says, bet, say less. Probably not to the Bryce comment. ML says, big boy, tell her with each entry the odds increase for getting an awesome engagement ring. Yikes. Now you'll have some real buy-in there. Brian says, girlfriend isn't a wife, so you are fine. If she hates what you do and enjoy, it probably doesn't work long-term anyways. Damien says, mine is just like, you've sure done a lot of those drafts. So it begs the question. Brian says, tell them you will buy them a nice bag and shoes after you win. They will root along. Brian's like, all girls love bags and shoes. I mean, maybe fair. ML with some awful advice says, Damien, just respond, you've sure eaten a lot of those donuts. So I think ML's telling Damien to start a fight about something else. Just bad. Subscribe for more relationship advice. All right. Enough of the relationship advice. Our team so far, Caleb Williams and Aaron Rodgers, Travis Etienne, Ken Walker, Raheem Mostert, the ageless wonder, Tajay Spears, Trey Benson, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Roman Dunze, Xavier Leggett, Jake Ferguson, Taysom Hill. Feel a little undergunned at wide receiver. I think it's defensible. Like, do I need a third tight end? No, I don't. Will I draft a third one? Probably, yeah. Do I need a third QB? No, I don't. Draft a third one? Probably not. Yeah, Conklin makes all the sense in the world there. That's our third tight end done. Stacks with Rodgers. Billy here saying, don't plan your wedding during drafting season. I'm getting married in 2 weeks and my draft volume is so low. I have a lot of drafts I need to do. I have over 125 DK best balls I have to do. If you're a slow drafter, clocks are getting sped up soon. So just be hip to that. Demarcus Robinson, not popular amongst drafters right now, but still seems to be the wide receiver 3 for the Rams, even though people are excited about the other ones. And so I will buy at his cheap price. Is Diami Brown the wide receiver 2 in Washington we all need? Probably not, man, but what I'm gonna do there is I think I'm gonna put Diami Brown, like, one spot behind Luke McCaffrey in the ranks where, like, okay, could Luke McCaffrey not play all year? Sure, he could not play all year. That would be bad and good for Diami. Um, could Luke McCaffrey overtake Diami Brown, who's never showed anything in the NFL, or Jahan Dotson, who also is very mid? Yes, he could do that. Um, so I think Diami Brown is like defensible to mix in, but he kind of feels like Zach Ertz, like, okay, maybe he's on the field week 1, but is he winning you at all? Don't know. Probably not. Are you doing a couple more today? Yeah, we're doing some more drafts after this. We'll do one more draft after this. Feels nice to mix in Demarcus Robinson at pick 180, right? Like, Robinson and Burton are 2 guys who are falling in drafts because people are excited about Andre Yoshibas and Jordan Whittington. But we the market's wrong on these excitements all the time, you know? Thoughts on Tim Patrick? Tim Patrick's moving up the ranks in best ball, man. I think, I've said since May that I thought like Troy Franklin was one of the worst picks in best ball. Marvin Mims is also a guy I barely drafted, but I at least thought he would be on the field. What currently looks likely, though, is that Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, that's your 3 starting wide receivers in Denver. Is it possible that Marvin Mims or Troy Franklin usurps Josh Reynolds or or Tim Patrick? Yes. Possible. That happens later in the season, right? But Troy Franklin, 4th round rookie, went later in the draft than people thought. No one is reporting on him positively. Marvin Mims seems at worst like he'll be the wide receiver 4, and he will mix in. So, like, terrible pick and managed. But in best ball, is Marvin Mims going to have some, like, 60-yard targets and he just needs to catch some of those balls? Yeah, that's going to happen. Man, this is some rough picks here. DJ Chark. I don't know, man. Please don't be Brendan Rice. Let's have it be the Chark show. How many QBs, RBs, tight ends, and wide receivers should I pick up? I mean, that kind of like it varies on draft, right? But I would read my article over at beatbestball.com about top scoring total points teams to see what structures other people have used in the past to win. All right, I got a deep cut here we're going to add to this team. We are going to add Jordan Whittington here. I think the Robinson-Whittington combo is good, right? If Whittington's a 0, okay, no big deal. I got Robinson. If Robinson's a 0, it probably is because Whittington's doing well. If it's Tutu Atwell, okay, this team sucks, right? Would it be better if I had Matthew Stafford to be doing this? Sure. But if Whittington is a Puka Nacua level hit, it's okay if Robinson's a bust. No, Whittington's not my deep cut, to be clear. You ain't ready for my deep cut. You won't guess my deep cut. The real thing is, like, am I going to add a 6th running back? And I probably should, right? I don't need to, but I probably should. Because Garrett, Nico, Zay, and Rome are 4 guys who I just need to be high-end producers. But at the same time, like, I don't know, Leggett, Robinson, Shark, Winnington, like, this group can give me 5 points in a given week. So, do I want only 1 extra dart or do I want 2? Deep cut, Kenny Galladay? Oh, man. No. Alright, I know what I'm doing here. We're not taking a running back. We're not doing it. We're just counting on the ETN Walker, Mostert, Spears, Benson quintuplet to be good enough. With everyone wanting the low owned potential smash, how high do you think Whittington gets in BBM? I can't see him getting higher than a 17th round pick unless we get better info because it's not the same thing as Puka Nakua. Cooper Cup was out for like Cooper Cup was hurt. That's why Puka Nakua started getting drafted. People were not sharp, right? It wasn't like people were like, "Oh, this guy's going to be really good." They were just like, "Oh shit, Cooper Cup's hurt. Let's start drafting Puka." Right? So, unless Cup or Puka get significantly injured in the next coming weeks, Whittington won't be drafted that high. Jordan Whittington just went round 14 in my underdog draft. Yeah, and that's like some people are going to react that way, right? Some people are going to be like, "This is the guy, I need him." And they're just going to get him, right? Do I think Whittington is starting week 1? No. Wow, someone is sick. They guessed one of the deep cuts. It is Tyler Scott. My first share of Tyler Scott ever. Um, I've read his name a couple times. He seems like a deep threat for the Bears. I have Cale Williams. Seems like he has contingent upside. And why stop there at taking one bad player? Let's also take another one. Let's do Velus Jones as well. Velus Jones is definitely a bad pick, but the hope for Velus Jones is that he's Cordero Patterson. And if I'm getting Cordero Patterson, that's a smash. From watching Hard Knocks, he's been used like that. So let's pull up the RAS profiles of these guys. Would I be making these picks in Best Ball Mania? No. But I think they're better in drafters because no one else is going to draft Tyler Scott. Maybe now because people are watching my stream they will. But like even me, like I'm not drafting Tyler Scott probably more than like once or twice. But in total points, right? Like I just need him to have a couple big weeks throughout the season. I don't need it to happen week 17. And also, like if Keenan Allen breaks a leg week 1, Tyler Scott probably gets thrust into a starting role right away. So you can really benefit from that. I'm curious about his measurables though. Tyler Scott, athletic freak, 8.61 RAS, 4.4, 440, 1.5, 10-yard split, 6.993 cone, all good numbers. He's 5'10, 177, not a big guy. The Velus Jones pick is egregious, but again, we're hoping on like he's getting cross-trained at a running back, according to Hard Knocks. Would I have drafted Velus Jones or even remembered him without Hard Knocks? Probably not. But, happy accident there. Happy accident there. So, all right, guys, this is my drafters draft. Make sure to check out drafters, promo code Cheslium. Again, drafters is probably going to overlay, meaning it will not fill. Gerald Everett, if I needed a tight end, yeah. Cam Akers, I think Cam Akers is a fine pick, honestly, as a low-owned guy. Let's get another draft. going right now. Give me a second as I pull this bad boy up. Stop. Should have taken Trey Tucker. Guys, I've taken a lot of Trey Tucker, and it's cute that people are going to try to bring up Trey Tucker to me. When I wrote an article July 2nd, meaning I've been thinking about Trey Tucker since day one, about guys who are just like not being taken in drafts. And I didn't need the preseason game. I knew what Trey Tucker had. He played football last year. So like Trey Tucker, he made the cut as a guy who's not being drafted, but is a fine guy to mix in because no one else is drafting him. And now people are drafting him at a high rate, you know. Trey Tucker, taken the 3rd round last year by the Raiders. He profiles as a deep speed burner who also occasionally gets some handoffs, plus end around carries. He had one 20-point PPR game last year and one 14-point game. The hope is he emerges as the wide receiver 3 of the Raiders, provide some spike weeks, right? So we were hip to this. We were hip to the Trey Tucker early in the offseason. We're doing a DraftKings one. Let's hope we get some insane people in these drafts. T. Castro, 1988, is Felix. This guy, he won the DK Millie the year I won BBM 2. It's the only reason I know that. And I know he drafts the same teams pretty much. Like he's a guy with like 85% Najee Harris. So I think we're happy he's here. How far will Tim Patrick climb now? He's back healthy and looking good. A-Rod, Patrick will not climb. Right? I think he's a good pick as far as you're probably not landing a 0, but that type of profile just never climbs. He is like, he's been injured multiple seasons in a row where he's just not going to climb without significant positive buzz. JB, appreciate the super chat. If you're drafting one season-long managed team, who are your top 5 guys you'd want to draft? Half-point PPR, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 6-point passing touchdown. Thanks. JB, I'm going to do, I think, just like an article / video on league winners. But I've not like looked at the ESPN ADP or the Yahoo ADP yet, but what my understanding is that they're awful. So like Rome Odunze, if Rome Odunze is going in your 8th or 9th round, I would 100% want him. I think I would want to be taking like a Bijan, an Achane, a Kyron Williams, like one of the expensive running backs, knowing I'm going to get a Rome Odunze in the 10th round. I think I would also want to be taking one of the elite quarterbacks because, again, let's go Bijan this time. Again, I know that I'm going to get, right, like crazy wide receiver values. So I want to try to beat my managed team league mates at quarterback and tight end. So like give me Josh Allen and Kincaid, or give me Mahomes and Kelsey, or give me Hurts and AJ Brown. And then I take the Xavier Worthies, the Lad McConkeys, the Keon Coleman's, all these rookie wide receivers who your managed league mates are like, who are these guys? Right? Like draft those guys. Yeah, Rico Dowdle's ADP is probably awful on these sites. Like all these running backs, like Chase Brown and Zach Moss, their ADP is probably pretty crazy. So a lot of those types of guys. Hope that's helpful. You got it, JB. Am I drafting Tim Patrick over Mims? Or do you think Mims is still worth drafting because of his home run? Yeah, I mean, a guy with Marvin Mims' talent, which seems to be just like, fast guy, can catch a ball down the field. That's not too far from Trey Tucker. That's like what we're drafting Trey Tucker for, right? We're drafting a guy that can spike. We hope he spikes at the right time. So even if Marvin Mims is a part-time player, he can give you a spike. Is it possible that Tim Patrick has significantly more yards than him, yeah. So I would draft Tim Patrick over him. But I understand that it's possible Mims becomes a full-time player, and that looks silly that I drafted this vet who's been injured a bunch of years. He gets injured again, you know. I don't know. The Mims wasn't good last year. Wow, yeah, let's do Bijan Gibbs. Why not? Seems rare. In general, we're going to be buying these dips. The great thing about DraftKings is they add the Q and O tags. Especially love when they do this in May. It's like, why are you adding an O tag in May when football is 4 months away? But that's why you will see CeeDee Lamb go at the 103. You will see CeeDee Lamb go at the 106 because of these meaningless tags. Appreciate you guys being here. Got about 200 of you on this lovely day. We got Bijan Gibbs start. What I'm going to start doing with these DraftKings is I'm going to start doing 5 to 10 at a time. Yeah, Jacob Cowing, I think, is a great dart. I prefer it on Purdy teams or Lions teams for correlation, but I think Jacob Cowing, is it going to be surprising if Jacob Cowing is ahead of Ricky Pearsall for the 49ers? No. Looked good. But, just understand these are all fringe bets, right? Is Jacob Cowing going to play football if everyone's healthy? Probably not for the 49ers. Assuming Ayuk's not traded. How did I do in the chess tournament? I tied for first. I lost my first game, but we respond from adversity around here. Remember our opponents? They tried to withdraw from the quad. Not me. We came back and we won our next 2 games to tie for first in the quad. I'll show you one of the games just because the game's pretty hot. This was against a he's like 2100, but like I don't know. He's Russian. He's like of the Baltic region. I don't pretend to know if he's exactly. We would have loved Ayuk there, by the way. No clear donkeys in this draft right now, which is unfortunate. Like, on DraftKings, you can see sometimes Patrick Mahomes will just go in the first round. We're not getting any of that. Clearly needs to be a wide receiver here. Let's go Devonta Smith right now. We take a break from regularly scheduled programming to show you this chess game. So, okay, I'm playing white here. I played the English, which I typically play. C5 is the symmetrical variation. I trade a non-center pawn for a centered pawn. He takes back. Oh, misclicked the button there. He trades knights, and he brings his queen out, right? And why he brings his queen out is to prevent me from putting my rook here, where my rook wants to be on this open file. So I play queen c2 with the idea of supporting rook b1. Bishop f5 would be a move you want to play to try to skewer the queen to the rook. But I always have moves like e4 to block the bishop in that case. So I play rook b1. I chase the queen. The queen comes here. And I play d3 to kind of discourage this move e4 and even just to take this pawn. And I realize that there's a discovered attack here. So we might be trading pawns here. And now I have doubled pawns, which in general are not great. They're, a double pawn is a weakness, but it's also a good pawn. It's in the center of the board. He takes here, threatening my rook. So I move my rook to safety. And he plays b5, which is not a good move, right? This bishop has pressure on this rook, and you're going to see this move is problematic for him. I'm threatening this pawn here as well. And so I play bishop h6, attacking this rook, and getting in around the king. And he doesn't want to play the move bishop g7 because if he plays bishop g7, I trade and then I take this free pawn, I attack here. Again, this pressure's coming, this pressure's coming, like this, everything is awful. So what he does is he just plays rook e8, not realizing the threat, and then kaboom! Rook takes b5, hits the board. I'll leave you thinking on that one. I got to make my pick here. Zay Flowers seems great to go with Devonta Smith. Good wide receiver combo there. But rook b5 seems, what's going on here? A rook is worth 5 points. A bishop's worth 3 points. So why am I willing to trade them? And what I'm doing here is I'm decoying the queen away. So I give up the rook for a pawn and the bishop. But more importantly, now I'm threatening checkmate. And it's very hard to defend against this. My opponent thinks for like 20 minutes and plays knight d4, right? What are your alternatives? There aren't really any. You can try a move like rook e5 or knight e5, but then I ruin your day with moves like queen takes e5, where I'm still threatening checkmate. And if you take my queen, rook d8 hits the board. Actually, no, I wouldn't do that in this one. I would first do something like if knight e5, I would take with the knight. The rook takes, and I take here, and you're just giving away material. So whatever, he plays knight d4, trying to interrupt me here. I take here. He takes back. I thought this move, rook d8, was an interesting try here, with the idea being I take his queen, he checks me, I play bishop f1, and he has this move bishop h3, but then you just get checkmated. So it doesn't work. And so he takes, I take, and again, I'm threatening checkmate here. You cannot play the move queen e5, stopping checkmate, because I take, the rook takes, rook d8 will be checkmate after he blocks and I take here. And so instead, let's make our pick here. We'll come back and finish out that game. Let's do... Let's do Kirk. Kirk has been on every single one of my winning best ball teams. So let's keep the good times rolling there. He's only falling because he's not practicing right now, but it's not serious. So anyways, you can't play queen e5 because you get mated. So he plays f6 here. And I take it. And now he plays queen e5. And now it's that. Now I thought for a while, things I'm calculating are moves like rook d8. I'm calculating queen takes queen. I'm calculating queen takes queen, rook takes, bishop f4, rook moves, pawn moves, bishop attacks this rook. I'm calculating queen c6 attacking this rook. The bishop moves. And what am I doing? I'm calculating a lot of moves. Eventually find the best move, which is rook d8. Seems kind of crazy here. I'm giving away my queen, but the idea is I take his rook. He plays king f7. I check his rook. The bishop keeps the rook safe. He moves his king. I take his queen. You cannot take the rook because then I hit you with e5, checking the king, and my bishop discovers an attack on this rook. And so he tried the move rook b8. Again, trying to threaten this checkmate. But I simply have rook c6 here, and he resigned because if he checks, I can block it like this, and he's just down a whole bishop and multiple pawns, so I won that game. So yeah, really well played game by me. Now back to best ball. Okay, so we're seeing, like this crap shot here is how I would say, like someone who's read some strategy articles but is misapplying like how to actually do this. Let's go with, man, I like both these players. We're going to go with Kittle because we have Gibbs. So we might as well build the 49ers Detroit week 17 stack. Um, but yeah, I think what Crap Shot's doing here is like he's like, oh, okay, people say to stack. So I took Diggs, so I'll take Stroud. And then I took Keenan Allen, so I'll take Caleb. But what he's doing is he's just kind of building worse teams that other people have because other people are taking Diggs and Mike Evans and then taking Stroud in the 6th round. Other people are taking Keenan and Calvin Ridley and David Montgomery and then taking Caleb Williams in the 8th round. So I wouldn't be doing this. My opponent's rating was like 2150, but again, he was a provisional rating and like of the Baltic region. So I don't really know what his true ability is. And I also think he was tilting. He lost his first game. And so I think he was playing noticeably fast and tilting and then lost the rest of his game. So yeah, I used to be a chess teacher. I was a chess teacher in New York City for 3 years. I was actually a really good chess teacher. My kids would qualify for nationals, girls nationals, the state championship. We won some sections. I was competing against private schools where it was like 50 grand to send your kid there and they had grandmasters, but I got those kids to work hard because I made chess fun. I do still coach chess a little bit. Um, and I give lessons here and there. If you want lessons from me on chess, that's something I'll probably pick up again during the season. Do not try to hire me to teach chess lessons to talk about best ball. We're not doing that. Imagine being late to the Roman Doomsday party. Wouldn't be us. I know. I was really hoping I could sneak him in here for the next pick. And this is why you take running backs earlier on DraftKings, because I know it's a softer platform that will just start taking like Najee Harris in the 7th round. Jaden Reed, a steal here. See, like they let me have my cake and eat it too. I get 2 elite running backs. I get 4 elite shots at wide receiver. I get an elite shot at tight end. We're crushing. I am a 2-time DraftKings best ball champion, but I've never made the finals in the DK Millie. How hard is chess to learn for someone who doesn't know how to play? I mean, it's not hard to learn, but you know what they say, easy to learn, hard to master. Chess is one of those things where the more you know about it, you realize you know less. Right? Where it's like the more you think you know, you're like, "Oh, wait. No, I don't know anything." Do you teach a base opening or do you try to teach a whole variety to pick from? For children, I would I did different things there. How it worked is like I taught at a charter school, and so for my kids to go to nationals and states, we needed to beat there's like 50 schools in this charter school network or 100 or something, and we needed to be one of the top schools in the network, meaning my kids needed to beat the other kids at the tournament. So one year, I kind of taught an opening that I just thought would win us a lot of games, but probably wasn't best for long-term development. What I did in my later years is I would pretty strictly teach E4 because it's my belief that these more tactical openings will lead you to learn quicker because I mean, yeah, you're going to like get destroyed in some games, but you learn from that. I ate a lot of paint chips as a kid. Do you think I could learn chess? I read good, so I think I could learn good too. Chess is very hard as an adult, but yes, I think you could learn. Being book smart does not make you a good or bad chess player. Oftentimes, the kids who were not the best in their other subjects were some of the star chess players. What's going on at quarterback? I just know if I pass on quarterback, I'm gonna get squeezed by someone just doing something donkey. So it's like, do I take the huge value on Lad, or do I just no? We're gonna rip Jordan Love. We're gonna get a full starting lineup here. We got this huge ADP value on Reed. Yeah, I think Lad is mispriced here, being available in the 8th. and I could have gone Herbert as well. But I really don't feel like this guy who's going to take like 6 running backs and was loving nothing more than to try to take Jordan Love there. Like, I don't feel like letting them do that to me today, you know? I think, I'm about 1,900 in chess after this weekend, USCF. But I think my one of my kids that I taught just surpassed me. So I'm now like one of my students has surpassed me in rating. Let's see, I'm 1903. Broke 1900 again. That game against the guy I beat he was rated 2155, but it was provisional. So he dropped like 80. I don't know. He dropped almost like, yeah, 80 rating points because he went 0-3 in the quad. Again, this is a part where it's like, do we scoop value or do we just rip Brock Purdy to like be done at quarterback? Um, no, we're gonna scoop the Warren value here. I mean, at ninth round price tag, it doesn't even really matter to me if Warren is playing week 1. I like betting against Najee Harris, an egregious pick in the 7th round by Felix here. Are you a fan of Scholar's Mate? Scholar's Mate would not be something I would teach my kids. I would teach them how to defend it though, right? Like in general, I wasn't trying to teach cheap tricks. Derek Carr goes in the 9th round. Jesus. Um, we need DraftKings to redesign the UI. No, brother. That's a feature, not a bug. You want this UI as bad as possible to keep these Derek Carr in the 9th round drafters around. Not even stacked this time. Like he showed us the ability to stack previously. Stroud and Diggs, Caleb and Keenan, Komet, and then just Derek Carr. Shout out to DraftKings though. They did add this feature. So it looks like they made multi-tabling easier with this current draft button. And anyone who's complaining about DraftKings UI and didn't draft on DraftKings like 3 years ago before they even had a draft board, you don't know how good you have it right now. He's getting A.T. Perry, the Derek Carr drafter. He could be. Having kids that you teach strategy games past you is always fun to watch. My daughter's catching up to me fast at games, and it's been fun to watch. Yeah, man. It was very like almost all of my students were better than their parents at chess. So I don't agree with Tresnor who says you can't get better by playing people your rating, but I do agree that it's easier to get better playing people rated higher than you. Where can we contact you for chess lessons? Send me a DM on Twitter. Especially if you want your children to have chess lessons. Um, let's do Purdy here. Purdy and Love allows me to stop at 2 quarterbacks. Something I like to do when I have the option. It also is starting a quarterback run, another benefit. We got Purdy stacked with Kittle to play Gibbs week 17. We got Jordan Love and Reed against the woeful Vikings week 17. We got Bijan, Gibbs, and Warren as our running backs. We got Smith, Flowers, Kirk, and Reed as our wideouts. Lawrence to go with Kirk obviously would have been the other quarterback to consider, but I chose Purdy because I like Purdy straight up, and we have the week 17 correlation there. No, this is just not true, man. Like, if you're a 1500 and you play a grandmaster, you don't know enough to even learn from the game, right? Like, okay, you need to learn how to not give away free pieces in chess. You don't need to play a grandmaster to learn that. How many BBM bullets do you have left? 26. Some like bug bit my wrist or something. Now I'm itching. Becoming a chess grandmaster is like going pro as an NFL quarterback. It's mostly not happening. Yeah, there are less grandmasters than doctors in the world by far. See, I could just pick out this guy wanted Jordan Love, and this is his way of showing us that. He went Dobbs and Wicks. Like he wanted to take Jordan Love there. Yeah, Tyler Lockett, come on down. I'm okay with old man Lockett. He got banged up at practice, but not supposed to be serious. Um, Still has contingent upside. You know, gave you like 5 games above 15 or so points last year. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we round 6, we won't count week 18. Give you 6 games above 15 PPR points. I do think I'll put Myers ahead of him, but I still think Lockett's a good pick in best ball. Aren't you worried about Jake Bobo? I am not worried about Jake Bobo. Malachi Corley. This guy is a mystery box. How many BBM5 drafts have you streamed? I don't know, man. You'll have to go back and look. I named them, but I don't have the count off the top of my head. Do you think chess is an IQ game? I think it's a game of hard work and pattern recognition and spatial awareness. Jake Bobo runs a 4.9. Yikes. Robert Woods. This guy's going Texans alpha stack. This is a great like what not to do team. God, I hope it wins. Seriously, my wrist is itching the shit out of me. Yeah, let's get the bus here. I like the bus still. You know, the bus showed an ability to get some big games last year. It requires him to punch in touchdowns, but like that's what I'm drafting for. If all he did was have a 25-point game against the Patriots week 17, he's worth that. It's a bet against J.K. Dobbins. It's a bet against 6th-round rookie Kamani Vidal. It's a bet on the Chargers running the ball effectively. So is Gus a good managed pick? No. Is Gus a little bit worse in PPR? Yes. But, 12th round price tag. Give me some bus. Angel? I know Angel. Shout out Angel. You coach in New York? Good time, man. It's a good time. I'd probably still be coaching chess in New York if COVID didn't happen. Gus could be this year's Mostert. I don't think that's likely, but he could be 25% better than he was last year, which is a pretty fine pick in itself. So this is why we take the quarterbacks where we do, because like Baker Mayfield and co start ripping off the board. Let's get Musgrave to go with Jordan Love. Very sensible combination. Gus isn't fast as Mostert. Yeah, but the really you have to realize the way that Mostert paid off as a fantasy smash last year was that he converted a lot of goal line rushes for touchdowns. Like a supreme amount. So like that alone is due for negative regression. And outside against Carolina, awful team, and Denver, awful team, like he didn't have that many blow up games. But he had a lot of like 11-yard or this game, 15 rushes, 42 yards, 3 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns though, right? Like come on. Or 21 carries, 96 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns though, right? So like the touchdowns is how he got you, and not a lot of them were explosive 40-yard rushing touchdowns, right? Like he had some of those like against Carolina, but a lot like these were just goal line plunges. And I think it's fair to question if Jalen Wright, who weighs 10 pounds more than him, gets some of that work. Isn't that essentially? Yeah, that's the point I'm making. That Gus can pay out that way. Kind of concerned with how much extra lamb I have because of this. Talking about the ADP dip. Well, Doom. I mean, that's something where I would say like you don't need to click your highest valued player every time, right? Like if you're getting uncomfortable exposure to a singular player, it's okay to take Tyreek instead of Lamb sometimes. It's okay to take Amon-Ra or Bijan instead of Lamb sometimes. Like you don't have to just be like, it's bad the market's doing this. John Mechie is off the board. This guy is just stacking up all of the Bears and Texans plus Derek Carr. And I mean, it's not going to work, but I've heard of worse strategies, I guess. Do you think Jeff Wilson could be fantasy useful if he gets cut? I mean, could, sure. Jeez, the quarterbacks there's find someone who loves you the way that DraftKings loves quarterbacks. We don't really need Zach Charbonnet, but at pick 163, he's just kind of a value. He does play. We don't actually have Roma Dunze on this draft. That was last draft. Plays the Bears week 17. Not important for this team, but I think I'm going to stop at 5 running backs with that. We have Bijan, we have Gibbs, we have Warren, we have Gus, we have Charbonnet. Now, the only thing I will say is Gibbs is potentially banged up with his hamstring. Questionable if he plays week 1. Warren is banged up. Questionable if he plays week 1. Gus had offseason surgery. And then Charbonnet is banged up right now. Undisclosed. Minor tightness. But not great that all of them are banged up, you know? But that's why we're getting good ADP values on them. Is it bad if I have 31% Tank Dell? No, I think Tank Dell's a good player, but just understand if you keep on taking him, you are, you need him to be the guy you need to have and not the guys who go around as ADP. Rough receiver room? I think it's pretty good. Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, Kirk, Jaden Reed. That gives you a core 4. Lockett as my 5th. Pretty good. Like, do I have Tyreek or CD Lamb on this team? No. But if Bijan is close to the RB1, we don't need that on this team. Yeah, we're going Conklin as a 3rd and final tight end. Just a pretty big tier break after Conklin and Noah Fant go there. All right. Let me refill my water. I'll be right back. I'm bringing my phone in case I missed this pick. Jeez, slow turn these guys were. Colin Johnson, got to get another Bear on this guy's squad. So it's nice to have at least one drafter like this in our room. You will sometimes see like 3 or 4 of these guys in a single draft, though. Please do like and subscribe, guys. Help me out here. I think we'll probably just go 5 more wide receivers here, build a 2-5-10-3, but possibly we go 2-6-9-3. 7'1", 452 pounds. Brother, you lose some weight. You could play in the NFL there. Is Estime droppable and managed? I mean, I don't think I would, but yeah, he is. Ah. Yeah, let's just get a wide out here. Let's go. Let's go Demario Douglas. We have Gus Edwards. They play each other week 17, so we're getting a little correlation there. I mean, Demario is drawing live to be a 0 in the event that Jalen Polk plays the slot, and then like Baker and KJ Osborne play outside. Like that would be Douglas being a 0. But 16th round, why not? I think Nick Mullins will be the backup quarterback for the Vikings, but it's also possible like Ryan Tannehill could land there. Dude, Colin Johnson, he scored a touchdown in the preseason. Yeah, I mean, questions like this, like I can't possibly answer if a player is droppable if I don't know like who's on the waiver, like many questions. The answer is yes, Estime is droppable if there's a more appealing player on the waiver wire. But am I dropping Estime for Dameon Pierce? No. You taking Jalen Naylor, probably the Vikings wide receiver 3 on Darnold stacks? No, I'm not. I mean, yeah, on Darnold stacks, maybe, but I would prefer it more on like drafters or the marathon. I don't like it as much for something like this with playoff pods because I need him to be like, I need him to be getting target share once TJ Hawkinson's back, so it's just like, what do I win? What do I win? All right, we are going one more running back. Jordan Mason, RB6. He's banged up right now, which is not great because if you're counting at home, the following running backs are banged up for the 49ers. Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Isaac Arendo. They are signing guys off the street. But I think Mason is probably the RB2 for the 49ers. I have a Purdy team. So, we have Bijan. Let's short CMC. Let's get it. And then we'll end this bad boy with 3 more wideouts. Again, this guy must have. This guy just thinks he's cooking. He's like, look, Stroud isn't my quarterback. Diggs, Tank, Keenan are my wide receivers, which is like, those are a fine 3 wide receiver group. Breece Hall's my running back. Khalil Herbert's my other running back. And then I have all the other pieces of the Texans and Bears. Questions like this, brother, these are super chats or anything or nothing. I'm not reading off everyone's team out there. People sometimes just cold DM me too. They're like, hey, what would you have done in this draft spot? I'm sorry, but I cannot handle all of those DMs, right? I just can't. Can't spend my time doing that. Imagine drafting 280-pound Keenan Allen. Yeah, to be clear, I've been Rome over Keenan the whole offseason. I do have some Keenan shares. It's probably being a little overblown, the Keenan is fat thing, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying posting about it, Noah Brown. So do I take Tyler Scott and piss this guy off? like who are this guy's targets? Let's try to engineer that. Tyler Scott and Velus Jones, brother. We already did that. We did that last draft. Yeah. Yoshi Voss seems like a good wide receiver here. The thing about Yoshi Voss is you hope he's the wide receiver 3, but what's most likely is he's in a rotation with Trenton Irwin to start the year, and then they're probably in a rotation with Burton as well. Are you drafting any Hayden Hurst? I am. Some when I need tight end. Pepper Tony would love to help you with your 27th round pick. Casuals barely know who Reed is, I feel like. You mean Jaden Reed? Yeah, Jaden Reed is not a casual target at all. Who do we think this guy takes? It's got to be a Bear Texan. It is interesting, though, that he mixed Demarcus Robinson in. Perhaps the worst sign for Demarcus Robinson drafters is that the guy who is drafting this combination of players went out of his way to mix Demarcus Robinson in. Or did he auto draft him? I'm gonna fire that tweet off. People will laugh at that. That's typically what we try to do. So the team so far, we got Purdy and Love playing quarterback. We got Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason playing running back. We got George Kittle, Luke Musgrave, Tyler Conklin playing tight end. We got Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, Tyler Lockett, Demario Douglas, Andre Yoshi Voss at wide receiver. And we're going to add 2 more wide receivers here who won't be good, but maybe this is a perfect time to get a Jacob Cowing team. I think it is. Stacks with Purdy. What is the opportunity cost? Guys like Brendan Rice are going. Why not? Why not? Although Khalif Raymond makes a lot of sense for this team. And we're gonna do Jordan Whittington first, because I feel like Whittington in the 19th round, upside selection. This team needs some wide receiver hits late, anyways. So it's like, this is a good team to mix them in on. Dante Pettis. If you had Dante Pettis, cash those bets. That cash is at plus 600. We boosting Najee up rankings after this Warren news? No, we're not. The O line looks terrible. He's fine, but I'm going to lower Warren a little bit in the rankings because I just know the market will lower him a little bit, so we want to bake in that ADP. But I'm not moving Najee up the rankings because I don't want to draft Najee still, and I don't want people that subscribe to my site to draft Najee because I don't think he's likely to be a smash pick. Steelers offense looking really bad in the preseason. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers starters played and they got dominated by the Bills defense. Like, dominated. Russell Wilson got sacked 3 times. Fields didn't look much better. Not good in Steelers land. Tyler Scott. Wow, he actually made a good pick here. Oh, we are on the clock. Yeah, we're gonna go Cleve Raymond. Like, Jacob Cowing makes sense, but Khalif Raymond is a less thin bet. He didn't have any big games last year. He had 2 games above 10 PPR points and a third at 9.5. But that might be enough. Like, if Whittington could be a pure 0, Yoshi Voss could be a 0, Douglas could be a 0, Lockett could be close to a 0, depending how it goes for him. And so we just kind of need the safety of like a Khalif Raymond 9-point game, you know? So that finishes the team with a Bijan, Gibbs, Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Jalen Warren, Brock Purdy, Tyler Lockett, Gus Edwards, Luke Musgrave, Zach Charbonnet, Tyler Conklin, Demario Douglas, Jordan Mason, Andre Yoshi Voss, Jordan Whittington, and Khalif Raymond. Check out beatbestball.com if you want to read the strategy articles and get the rankings from myself, 3-time best ball champion. I'm going to be updating all of the rankings today/tomorrow to account for preseason usage. So that will be posted either today or midday tomorrow by the latest. And going to be doing a managed draft later tonight. Join my Discord. Link to join is in the YouTube description below if you want to be notified when I go live. Subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell. We'll be back later. Enjoy your work days if you're watching at work. What does Felix have to gain after already having 80% of Najee? He's in too deep, man. He's in too deep. So, all right, guys. Have a great day. Peace out.